Hello, greetings, folks. This is Thomas of Alpha Omega Energy here, streaming on the Weaponized News International Network. We're going to try to get our Google Meet image streaming here as well, if we can. Just having a look at the tab here so that we can get this up. What we're going to do today, we're not doing a regular Weaponized News show today. What I'm going to do today is we're going to get into our meeting for our Open VC, the YWAM BAM fund, and now the AOE BAM fund. I've decided to make an open venture capital fund, and we're going to be streaming this open venture capital fund, opening this up to the world. Oh, I see. I can mute somebody in the Google Meet, and we're doing a Google Meet for this open venture capital fund. We're going to have Google Meets twice a week at this time a day. It's 10 a.m. Texas time, which is 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, which is 8 a.m. Pacific time on Tuesday, which is actually Tuesday and Saturday. We're gonna run these meetings for the AOE BAM fund, and now I'm building this open venture capital fund. I've never seen anything like this before. I'm unfamiliar if there is any open venture capital fund anywhere else in the world as of yet. There might be some. There are some remote VC, and what a remote VC is venture capital fund that is truly remote. It's decentralized. It's over the internet, if you will. So due to COVID, when everybody's started using all these remote apps, using Zoom, using Google Meet, using online conferencing, now there's maybe a dozen or so, or possibly 20 remote venture capital funds that I found on a list that are operating remotely across the world. Generally, most venture capital funds, they like to work close to the venture capital ecosystems. They're not truly remote, though venture capital funds can invest anywhere across the world if they really want to. Of course, that's the right to do that, unless the mandate of their fund is to invest in some specific geographical area, which many funds do have that. In America, it's very common for many venture capital funds to invest only in America. That is certainly the case. And the difference with an open VC is, of course, there we go, let me close that. An open VC is different than a regular venture capital fund. And the difference is with an open VC, we'll do everything in the open. So that's quite rare, actually. There's another one of our guys probably going to come in. He said he's going to come into the meeting here, and he's asking me, is it right now? That's funny, right? So I guess I'll have to get used to seeing that. Yes, you can come into the meeting. So, and we're going to live stream these events here that are going to be twice a week at this time. Again, 8 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. So one on Tuesday and one on Saturday. So those who can make it during the week, during the business day, they've got some time there in the morning of the American business day to come in. And for those who can't, you got a Saturday there. And we'll get into, I've got a whole presentation, PowerPoint, which I've been building 150 pages of it so far. Somebody wants to join here. Where is it? Here we go. There's Esteban, who's going to be coming in as well. Welcome, Esteban. And for the new joiners, so when people come into these calls, they got to be ready with their online etiquette for our meetings and be prepared, because we're live streaming these too. 8 different social media channels across the world. And that's how we're going to be doing it on the Weaponized News Network. Very gracious of Sam Cheney to allow us to use the Weaponized News Network and platform for us to air this openly to the world. I've been co-hosting on California's Weaponized News for much of the last 4 years. You could say off and on. Was very, very regular before. Now, because I'm a little bit more busy, I'm just doing once a week on Weaponized News, but I'm now starting 2 of my own shows on the network, and then also this Open Venture Capital Fund, which is new, that I'm just putting together and building it as we go. And not everything's ready. We're not doing some kind of big official fancy launch or launch party or any of this kind of thing. This is an open build as we go, build live, build in public, as the concept goes in Silicon Valley. Very common concept for founders to build in public. Maybe not so public as this is what I'm doing. And I'm not really truly ready yet, but we're just moving it forward. I've come to the point. I'll give the background story, and we'll get into some presentation here as well off of my PowerPoints, which we'll definitely go into that here. I'll get that pulled up for everybody. I'm not sure I can. Well, I'll have to share one or the other, either the Google Meet room, or I'll have to share my presentation. But let me pull that up here. Let's just stop screen sharing here on that one. Let's go to my presentation. And we have 2 names currently right now. You'll see there behind me, just over my shoulder, maybe you'll see a little bit. It says the YWAM-BAM Fund. And I'll explain that, what that is. So, and now I've changed the name. This is how early we are. I just choosing the name, going from YWAM-BAM Fund to AOE BAM Fund. So this is how early we are in this. And okay, you're not seeing it on the Google Meet. Let me. So I need to go to the Google Meet here. Apologies for that, because and thank you for letting me know. I'm just where's my in the Google Meet? Where's my sharing here? I got to try to figure out how to get it on the Google Meet as well as up on the streaming. There we go. It was hiding my button behind the other tab here. So we'll get that going here. Let's see. Do we have that? Yes, it should be in here. Sharing. Oh, will it share like that? Well, the Google Meet will still be able to see that, I think. How's it now there, Esteban? I think you guys can see the whole streaming platform is what it will. Let me see if I can move that out of the way here. There we go. That's a little bit bigger. Okay, so where's the best place to start here? As I said, we're just moving it forward. I spent the last 2 days just nonstop smashing out the website for this fund, trying to get this done and the presentation done. I have a 150-page pitch deck and business plan, open business plan. That's a living business plan, as we call this in the startup industry, that I'm building and developing, and will continue building and developing that. And this Open VC is welcome for anyone around the world to join. So everybody hearing this, listening to this, seeing this, you can join a venture capital fund. Would you like to join an open venture capital fund? So you can think of this as a venture capital fund for startups, but is different. It's more like an open angel investing club or investment club that anybody can join. There's no fees, there's no charges, there's no financial commitment necessary. You can join and just learn and contribute. And one thing about the venture capital industry, it's very hard to get into. It's a very exclusive industry. it's very hard to quote unquote get into VC. So, and it's a very coveted industry and a very coveted position. Most people know that venture capital investors get paid very large amounts of money. They can make huge money, become very wealthy, and a lot of venture capital investors are. The salaries are very huge in this industry, average between $100,000 a year to $250,000 a year, and can grow to multiple times that, depending on how many funds that the venture capital fund makes over time, and how big the funds get, how big the management fees are, how successful you are. And all of these people involved in these venture capital funds, they can earn shares in all of these startups. And these startups grow and become big companies and go IPO. And these VCs, they will become very wealthy. And it's a very, very hard industry to get into. And we need more venture capital funds. And I'm a startup founder. And let me share another slide here. Let me go into this here. I started pitching for my startup. Here we go. Does that come up? Good. Okay. So this is me there pitching at one big high technology event in China a couple years ago, where I won some awards there. And Alpha Omega Energy is my startup, so I'm a founder, and now I'm becoming a venture capital investor a little bit earlier than I thought that I would in my career, but I'm just going ahead with it, and I'll explain why. But I'm a Breakthrough Energy founder, and Breakthrough Energy is one of the hardest things in human history to raise for. None of the Breakthrough Energy innovators, to my knowledge, has ever been funded. The real Breakthrough Energy innovators. There are some clean tech startups that get funded from time to time, electric cars and these different kinds of things. Establishment people in establishment places from, very wealthy establishment backgrounds. There's been a couple of people that spun out of Tesla Motors, as an example, executives there. One made a battery, another big battery company for battery cars, right? Called Northvolt, raised $20 billion and completely vaporized all of the money and disappeared. There's been other companies like this, but none of the actual Breakthrough Energy innovators. They were not doing anything new. They're not doing anything disruptive. I don't really think that there's anything disruptive about battery cars. Anyway, so I'm a founder. Have struggled to raise, like most founders. 99.9997% of startup founders will never raise a startup deal in their entire life. It doesn't matter what they build. It doesn't matter who they are. It doesn't matter what they do. And if they're not from this establishment, right, if they didn't work for Elon Musk, spinning out, right, in those famous centers, it's much, much, much harder for them. So for us guys, the other 99%, if you will, they almost never get funded. It doesn't matter where they've gone. Like I won 14 international awards pitching in over 40 different top startup venues in Asia. I've taught technology to Fukushima Daiichi, who's been using my technology since 2018, 7 years now. I almost did an IPO already, and my startup is still not funded. And this is the situation of the world. So I've talked to many venture capital investors. I've pitched in front of thousands of crazy rich Asians and business people across Asia, to chambers of commerce, to many, many different startup venues, fake accelerators and fake incubators and all of these kinds of places. And many of which have no intention to ever fund a startup. They're just doing it for the class fees or whatnot, and massive grifting industry on these startups. I decided also to go out into Cambodia and build, and because I believe that that's what what Change the World actually is going and building out in a developing country instead of just sitting back in Silicon Valley, where I'm from, and building in there, pretending you care about Change the World, but you're never going to step foot in it, and you're never going to help these people. So I decided to go out and do something meaningful and make a change, and put my technology company into a developing country that really needs this, and then they will have this legacy in the future, and that we could build where it's cheap, where it's very easy to reach the government officials, that has more freedom, less regulation, way cheaper labor, a way cheaper cost in general, and we can build for 5% of the cost of what it would take us to build in a Silicon Valley, where we wouldn't be able to raise the money, we wouldn't be able to afford it. But if we built out in one of these developing countries, and if we raised a little bit of money, it would go 10 times, 20 times further. So that's what I decided to do. But even despite this, it's been very, very difficult to raise. And I've, like many founders, become very frustrated at the low quality of venture capital investors out there. And the way that they do things is completely messed up. It's such a disaster. And it's not working for the majority of people in this industry. So I decided to finally, out of frustration, really, pull the trigger and start to form a venture capital fund, is what I've decided to do and build. But make it open to the world so everybody can join in, everybody can contribute, everyone can become part of a venture capital fund, and everyone can learn this industry, which is so valuable. And we literally have a massive crisis right now in the world, where we have 50 million new. Hang on one second. I want to go to. Let me. Can I get off that? I need to show both, don't I? To have it in the screen. So the viewers on Weaponized News cannot see me. They see the slide. Oh, I can do this, right? Sorry, folks. I'm just trying to figure out the streaming. I'm not a professional streamer. I can do this way. How does that come out in our... Yeah, I can do that. I'm learning how to do the streaming. So I'm learning as I go. I'm just going forward with it. And like all startups, things can be messy in the beginning, and they should be expected to be messy in the beginning. Every real investor, real venture capital investor knows this, understands this, embraces it. Real venture capital investing, of course, is early stage, at the earliest stages. And when there's nothing built yet, when there's just a business plan on paper, and they provide the capital to do the construction, and then you construct the business. So we'll get into those things later. So I decided to make this venture capital fund and open it up to the world so everybody can get inside. and one of the additional reasons I decided to do it this way is because I've even been offering to volunteer at different venture capital funds. I've offered to volunteer at maybe 8 to 10 venture capital funds so far. And I knew that, most of them, they're not really going to take volunteers. Most of them are not. I knew that, but actually doing it, actually going through the process of volunteering to these venture capital funds, and then having, experiencing how they react to this has been actually quite eye-opening. It was different than I expected, and a little bit frustrating as well that they wouldn't be interested. And it showed me as well how exclusive, but also exclusionist that this industry is, right? It is incredibly hard to get in there. And they're not generally used to volunteers. They're surprised if someone wants to volunteer for anything, especially for that industry. And most venture capital funds, it'll tell you very quickly if you apply at a venture capital fund to volunteer for them, it'll get you an answer, it seems like, much more quickly than otherwise, to let you know if they're actively investing or not. If they're actively investing and they're at the beginning of their fund lifetime of the 10 years where they allocate the money, they will raise the capital to invest. Generally, this is what they do, though we're not doing it this way. And any VC can really do it in any order that they want to. But generally what happens is they form the legal structure of a venture capital fund. They'll raise a bunch of capital for the fund, $15 million, $20 million, $25 million, $30, $50 million, whatever it is. Then they will start looking at startups, and they will allocate that money over a period of the first 2 years of the life of the fund. And the fund life will be about 10 years, 7 to 10 years. And then they'll try to wrap up that fund by the end of that 10-year time period. That's generally what happens. Okay. So if you go to volunteer apply to volunteer at a venture capital fund, if they're not allocating any money, they're going to be like, oh, well, we don't need anybody, right? But the money's already allocated. They've invested it. What do they need volunteers for? It's done. They've invested all the money. Now they're sitting back, just maybe nurturing the startups. Most of these VCs probably are doing nothing, right? Probably doing nothing. Though many of them say that they're value-added VCs. Generally, they're not really doing that much, in my experience watching them. And if any VCs are watching this and you're doing something more, and you want to connect, please reach out and connect with me. And I'll show my, let me get my links here up on the screen since there's some extra space to do that here. Here's our X accounts here. I'm not seeing that. Oh, there we go. So here's our X accounts. I just made this account today, AOE BAM Fund, and started following some Christian finance accounts and different things like this. And so just going to start building that and posting on there every day. We'll be posting something there, start being active on these new accounts for the VC fund. And then I have my startups account on X, which is at AOE, like Alpha Omega Energy, VC, like venture capital, then Breakthrough. I've been studying the venture capital industry for close to 30 years, having come from Silicon Valley, and I had a investment industry, financial engineering background before starting my startup. So I know a lot about finance and a lot about the venture capital industry, but I don't have any, I would say, I don't have any personal relationships with any venture capital investors. I'm in a couple different regular venture capital meetings, similar to this one that I'm running right now, that are put on by a couple different venture capital investors, but they're not early stage. They're not early stage investors, really, not in the true form anyway. And so when you apply to volunteer at these venture capital funds, if they don't need you, generally, they're not starting out. It's not at the beginning of the fund life. Otherwise, they need help. They got to hire a bunch of people, right? Maybe they don't have everybody in place yet that they're going to need to hire because they needed to raise some of the money. And some of the money is going to go for their expenses and the other staff that they need. So they'll start putting people together. And if they don't need anybody, that tells you, wow, I mean, that's they're not really going to be active right now if they don't need any help. There's a lot to do to build a successful venture capital fund in general. And unless it can be done very slowly, or it can be done quickly and very effectively. Generally, you want to do things very quickly, but a lot of venture capital investors, there's all kinds of different classes of them. It's not all the same every single time. There's very few operators. So by operators, we mean somebody who has built a successful small business and then scaled this up and then exited that company, sold it off or something like that, or done an IPO. And then they go into venture capital, almost like a semi-retirement or something. You could say they move on, they become a venture capital investor and invest their money and other people's money into startups. There's actually very few of these. Some estimates and data from the industry say only 7%, so not even 1 in 10 venture capital investors was an actual operator before. Some other very bad statistics, which I don't believe is accurate, but as high, some number sets say as high as 26% are operators. So you got between 1 in 10 to 2.5 in 10 are operators. And then, so where are all of the other people from? Well, generally they're people that were maybe working in government before, or working in some kind of government department before, working in maybe some kind of finance company before, any numbers of different rich people that made their money in any kind of different way. And then you have, some of us, the people in the other 99%, we would call them the trust fund babies, right? So rich family, rich parents, they come from money and they have a lot of money, and then they go this direction. Well, and their family maybe has money, right? The children of law firms or wineries or whatever. I mean, it's just everything. Then you have some of the Hollywood celebrities, movie stars, Ashton Kutcher, Leonardo DiCaprio. You have all of these people that have made venture capital funds, not operators, right? They didn't do it by building startups themselves and coming through this method themselves. And some of them self-made and some of them less self-made, right? So there's a huge variety of these people. But I feel very strongly that the people that came through and are venture capital investors, but they were not operators. They didn't build a real startup in the real startup business model from the ground up, from zero, raise capital, and then they get to success, get the profit, and then do an IPO. If they didn't do the full circle, if you will, to go through IPO, go through the entire experience, and then build out post IPO, not run away at IPO, but build out post IPO. If they didn't do this, they have many missing pieces, right? There's many missing pieces to their journey still that they have not experienced. And they don't understand this like the people who've done that full circle. They just don't, they do not understand this. And other founders that are very experienced in this industry, working with different VC, they will know what I'm talking about. They will understand what I'm talking about. I'm sure that they will agree. The vast majority of them will agree. There's a significant advantage to building the entire thing out that you will have a knowledge and experience than if you didn't do it. There's also many executives that kind of rode the coattails of all of these different technology startups in Silicon Valley, which there's been maybe 55,000 startups that have been invested to so far in America. The number is around 55,000 the last time I checked on Grok. So there's a lot of those people out there, and they were, fellow C-suite or high-level executives, VPs, whatever in the company. They earned a lot of shares working in there as part of their team compensation, their options pools, all of these kind of things. They didn't really build the company, but they're there, working inside of the company. Most of them, were maybe not involved in the formation of the startup. Most of them were not founders. Most of them, right? But they come out of that experience, sell out, buy out, get bought out, whatever, have an exit, and then they go into VC. They were not operators. They didn't start companies before either. But a lot of these people become venture capital investors. So I see there's a lot of things that they're doing not so well. And generally, the VC industry is failing, and it's failing miserably. And humanity needs the venture capital industry to succeed more and much greater than ever before, because humanity has way bigger problems than we've ever had before. We have still currently 4 billion people that have no secure access to electricity in the world, no clean drinking water, no sanitation at all, and they have no water and no sanitation because there's no electricity for those. You need electricity for that. That's why that's not happening. On top of the infrastructure itself to build those, and then you have no electricity for industry, for the smart cities, for the future, and now you have many more energy crises stacked on top of this, including the blockchain and AI energy crises now, which you have entire cities in America that they have no water because of the data centers are using all the water, they're using all the electricity. And now you got factories in America. You're supposed to have this manufacturing revolution, and the factories can't even get any electricity where they have these big data centers that are building very fast. So this is a major issue, and that's not getting solved. And how do we solve that? And we don't have enough venture capital investors. And so that's another reason I'm making this open VC fund that anybody can join. And I'm giving quite the long speech here for the meeting today, because it's the first meeting. It's doing a big intro of what we're doing. So we'll go on for another 5 or 10 minutes here. I'll explain this and touch on a couple more slides before we get into including our guests here that have come to the meeting today. And over time, we'll build more and more and more guests will come. I'm going to do some advertising online on all of these free places to advertise in the lean startup business model. So we're not starting out with a fund to be able to begin investing to startups. We welcome all founders to join. It's free to join, and we will be, as we go through these meetings, we'll have opportunities for founders to pitch their startups to us, and for us to give them some help and support and some advice and whatnot. Early stage right now, we're not looking at investing in any particular startups right now. So we're not looking for startups to pitch us so that we can invest to them yet, but help them, maybe give them some advice. And we would like them to join this open VC model, this distributed VC model that we're building. So due to these massive infrastructure issues that the world has, and there's also, on top of that, 50 million new founders starting small businesses every single year. So they say there's 50 million new startup founders every single year, 50 million of them. And what that, I mean, that's huge. And what that means is 99.9997% of startup founders will never get a deal in their lives right now. No matter how good they are, no matter, even if they're 1 in 1,000, they're the top 1%, all of these things that VCs say, right? That's not going to move the needle for humanity. It's not enough. There's record crisis level demand for venture capital funds and for people to enter the venture capital industry. And I've been saying that for every 10 founders, really 2 of them need to quit. They need to quit their startups. If their startup is, weaker or something like that, I would say quit your startup and form a venture capital fund. Get together with all these other people that quit, and, right? And if 2 and 10, if 20% of these 50 million quit, 10% is 5 million. You'd have 10 million startup founders a year that could form venture capital funds. That's a hell of a lot of people, and that's a lot of venture capital funds. That would be enough to solve this problem, the funding issue, to get these startup founders funded. At least 1 in 3 of them. Certainly, out of those 50 million, at least 1 in 3 is worthy of funding, and the economy needs that many funded. But where's the government, right? The government's doing nothing about this. The other venture capital investors, they're not copying themselves. They're not good at that. They haven't built a system where they can copy themselves and make more VC funds. They just want to make their one VC fund successful, focus on that. And then if they are successful, they go retire off into the sunlight somewhere. And it's a very cruisy industry, the venture capital industry. They don't generally do too much. They just startup tourists touring around, and they live off the huge management fees that they earn for the fund. And then if the fund is successful, they earn a very, very high income and good living. And there's more opportunities beyond that. Maybe they do a fund 2 or a fund 3, but they're not copying themselves, making other VC funds of other people in general. They're not. There's not a lot of that. There are a couple different startup centers, venture capital operations that are making VC funds, and some of them are doing a really good job. There's VC Lab in Palo Alto, right in the heart of Silicon Valley. They're doing a great job. They're launching about 200 venture capital funds a year, but there's really nowhere else in the world like them. And this needs to be happening pretty much in every capital city around the world, and that's not even enough. And that's not going to happen. I tell you right now, not anytime soon. That won't be rolling at a speed like that, a venture capital formation in 10 years from now. The governments are way too weak. They're too corrupt. They're too selfish. They're too focused on enriching themselves at the expense of everyone else. So we've come to this bottleneck for humanity that nothing is getting funded. And it doesn't matter how good your startup is, how good your technology is, how much merit you have, nobody's going to fund you. That's the situation. And so many founders are experiencing that. And startups are closing. Merit-based startups that could have built something really great for humanity, they're closing at record rate worldwide right now. And the venture capital industry is failing. They're raising less money every year for the last 6 years in a row now because they're doing such a poor job of this. And the older guys that understood business more, they're moving on and they're retiring, and they had different values Gen X and the boomers, they had different values, much more business sense, much more common sense in those generations. And now everything's kind of software and this tunnel vision of software. And it's not a diverse industry anymore. There's many big categories that the venture capital investors, they just don't even touch, like energy. This is not something that they invest as much to. To land this point here, 60% of the venture capital money right now is going only to AI, to fake intelligence, 60%. And then you have the majority of the remaining 40% is going to other apps, toys, games, apps, craps, right? Gambling on the internet, fake reality, fake intelligence, right? Fake economy, fake relationship, all of this just bullshit. And it's not going to the real industries that humanity actually needs. So everybody's experiencing this wild, out of control inflation of all the goods and services that they normally they need to survive and to feed their families, and et cetera. And that's because the venture capital industry has wholesale avoided all of these industries for the last 50 years. They don't touch it anymore. And it's gotten worse and worse and worse. And now every time there's some new gadget or widget that comes along, some consumer crap or whatever, some shit coin, all the VC are pumping into that at record pace, and they become more exclusionist than ever before. And and they're doing a worse and worse job and failing at record numbers. More of what they invest to fails now than ever before. And it fails much more spectacularly. They lose much more money when they do lose than ever before. And what they do fund, there's almost no leaders. There's almost no lead investors. 95% of venture capital investors, they don't lead any deals at all. They only follow. So you have 1 in 20 of the VCs that actually do anything early. Only 1 in 20. That's it. It's insane. There's no real venture in the venture capital industry. These are all fake venture capitalists. They're all the latest stage private equity guys. Actually, they're in like D round, E round kind of people. Real venture capital is early stage. It's a business plan on paper. That's a real startup. A real startup is not organic. And so they talk about, okay, bootstrap, go bootstrap. And once you bootstrap and pulled yourself up by your own bootstraps somehow by some miracle, when you need the money to build to construct the first franchise in the first place, to construct the first machine in the first place, to construct your first product, right? So you're in the catch-22, which is what made the startup industry in the first place. The startup industry was never an organic industry. That's not what startup is. You cannot bootstrap a startup. That's not a startup business model. That's not what a startup is. A startup requires capital in order to construct this. If you can construct this without startup capital, and you're going to do it that way, that is not a startup, folks. That's not what a startup is. Just starting a business does not mean you can call it a startup. Right? I mean, it's so ridiculous, and it's amazing. The media has brainwashed everybody to think that everything, just making a business paper filing for a business license supposedly is a startup. That is not a startup. Okay, the startup business model is a business plan on paper. It's like you come up with some new idea for some new McDonald's, some new great franchise, but you need the money to build the first location. You make the entire business plan, you cost out everything, you get everything ready to construct, just like if you're a subcontractor going to construct a house. Every detail is already in the construction plan. Every single thing is itemized, is ready to go. And the only thing you need to construct that is the money, is the check. And as soon as you get the money, you can order everything and construct that in 60 days to 6 months and fully construct that franchise, and it'll be an operating franchise. You have your opening party and the customers come in, and then you have your profit, or you don't, right? And then it starts growing. Can you get to a profit with additional marketing or what? That is the startup business model. It came out of the franchise, a business model. And then this expanded into all kinds of other different technologies as well. That's the spirit. The startup business model is not organic. So you cannot bootstrap a startup. And most people don't understand this. And most VC don't even seem to understand this. It's just so asinine. So We are building a early stage, first investor, real startup fund, and that's what a real startup fund is. If you're not willing to lead, you're not a venture capital investor. I'm sorry, folks. Sorry to hurt the feelings of venture capital people. That you're private equity, you're late stage, you're private equity. That's not real venture. If you're going to wait until a startup is already completely built, completely constructed, is already in profit, is already a fully successful business, standalone, sustainable, doesn't need the money anymore, doesn't need you anymore, and only then you're going to put money in there. Oh, we're going to be last into a deal that there's already lead investors. That disqualifies you from calling yourself a venture capital investor. I'm sorry. That's private equity is what that is. And that's fine to be a private equity investor, but you have these venture capital investors pretending to be VCs when they're not, and thus wasting the time of all of these founders that are pitching to them, soliciting them. They really, I would say, owe it to humanity and owe it to the founders and its basic minimum level of professionalism and respect for the founders that you're going to be dealing with, to actually say what you're doing, right? Early stage, first check, right? We're only pile on money. We're only followers. But most VC, they don't want to actually tell the truth about what they're doing, because they're trying to grift and monetize and get all of the followers and all of this other bull crap. That's their priority, actually, instead of actually being respectful to the founders and properly representing themselves to the public, which there's no laws that they have to do that, so they're not doing it. I feel there's a moral obligation for them to do that, but they're not doing it. So the industry's a mess. The standards are all over the place. It's a mess. There's a lot of garbage. There's actually a lot of corruption in the industry as well. There's a lot of things that are broken with this industry. So due to this and many, many, many other factors, which we'll cover in meetings as we go, in this open venture capital fund, right, investment club, that everybody can join. So I'll have to make sure I say this regularly for the broadcast. We welcome every single person, every founder, every business person to join our open VC fund. You don't need any money to join. There's no cost to join. If you want to learn more about startup investing, about angel investing, and you want to become a venture capital investor or an angel investor at some point in time, you want to learn about this, you want to improve your knowledge, improve your skills, join with us. Join and learn. All of the founders, you can join with us, become a VC. If you want to get into this exclusive industry that's very difficult to get into, by contributing to our open VC fund, join. We're going to continue to build the team out, and soon we'll have 30, 40, 50 people collectively online in Google Meet meetings and Zoom meetings, discussing this and building out all of these things. I'm doing a very long presentation here today to talk about this as the first meeting, which will go out, and then this will be on our social media accounts for the fund, which we're just putting together right now. So we're gonna do a number of things very differently to what most venture capital investors do, and I plan on in the future copying this venture capital fund. So we will build out our fund, and let me see what our the Google Meet can see us. So we're going to build out this fund, raise the capital for it, allocate the capital, build these successful startup business units till they're completely profitable and stand alone. They don't need the VC anymore. Maybe only some advice and helping them, maybe some follow-on capital, etc. And once that's done, then our priority is going to be copying the fund. Okay, not so much building a second fund for RVC, but copying the fund. And we're going to build a machine, an engine, a system where we copy funds. And we want other people to copy what we've done. And it's interesting, nobody's really doing this. No one's building open public VCs amongst the people, amongst the common people. It's not happening. Nobody's doing it. I can't believe it. It's so many years I've been watching this. And one of the first things I thought of in 2017, when you had the big blockchain craze, the ICO craze. I was expecting that people would do it, that there would be a huge new rise in numbers of venture capital funds that would start up. And there have been more VCs, and there's more VCs being made all the time, sure enough. But I thought there would be many more that are more public, because you have all these groups of people getting together, like all of these Web3 and shitcoins, and there's been none of this so far. And the blockchain stuff, the shitcoins, the meme coins have just gone towards 100% scam, also, or 99% scam, and scam groups and scam clubs, and nothing really blockchain for good, or something that really contributes to humanity in some meaningful way. And it hasn't stepped in to fill this massive hole. It's very surprising to me, but it needs to be done. The governments aren't facilitating this. The development orgs, the so-called development orgs, which actually, when they use that term development, it means something totally different than what we're all led to believe. When they say development orgs, it doesn't mean they're developing the economy, or they're funding startups, or they're building startup funds. They're not funding small businesses. They're not getting them financed. They're not helping them. No, it doesn't mean any of that. So we all think it means that. Right? It took me a long time to actually learn this, going and soliciting all of these so-called development orgs, but actually the vast majority of them are completely fake. I would even call them liars. Most of them are completely fake. They don't do any of this at all. What development actually means for them, for their industry, is development of front organizations. So like Elon Musk has been exposing through Doge, most of this aid industry and the NGO industry, the development industry, it's all fraud. It's all waste, fraud, and abuse. It's all scams. It's all money laundering operations. It's all ringing around the rosy Fugazi, criminal fraud RICO cartel rings, where they're siphoning the money off into politicians' pockets and their families' pockets, and it's just total bullshit. I've solicited over 450 NGOs and development organizations myself so far, and I can tell you, I haven't found even one that is doing even, I would say, 10% of what they claim or advertise themselves to the public that they're doing. And not a single one of them has ever funded a startup fund, and not a single one of them has ever funded a startup or a startup deal, and not a single one of them has ever been meaningfully involved in any of that or helping any founder get funded. And I've never seen a deal personally, though I've lived in the emerging markets development organization complex industry locations in the emerging markets: China, Cambodia, Philippines, Thailand, Hong Kong, and other places. For 10 years, I've never seen a startup get funded in front of my face. I've never seen this before. I don't know any founders that got funded in these locations. Cambodia has 400 startup centers, startup programs, they say, on their Startup Cambodia website list. 400 of them. Not a single one of them has a startup fund. Many of them even call themselves Accelerator, and they don't even have a startup fund. I mean, it's the most asinine thing that you've ever seen. Imagine an accelerator that doesn't have a startup fund. But so there's a massive grift industry, a massive fraud industry taking advantage of and blood sucking on all of these startups everywhere. And that industry is growing, skyrocketing in size. Just take Cambodia as a country, a small country, 20 million people, but small in terms of finance and money. There's about $100 million the size of the startup economy each year. So $100 million is going into the startup industry each year, but there's absolutely nothing to show for it. There's not a single startup fund and not a single startup funding out of any of that money. Where the hell is the money going? You could fund 500 startups a year on just $50 million, but they get $100 million, and this is just going into all of these scammers that are blood sucking on this industry, and none of the money at all is going to any of the startups. So every single year you have a new graduating class of technology students and other founders that'll make their startups. They'll go pitch, they'll go into all of these centers, they'll contact everybody and waste a year and a half of their lives and endless amounts of money and whatnot. And the entire industry has zero interest and zero purpose to actually fund any of the startups. Zero. So they all go out of business. They all go bankrupt. They run out of money. They need to go get a job. They all have to quit their startups, and all of their inventions and their great technologies that can change the world to help humanity just go in the toilet. And that's what's happening. And the governments don't care. The development orgs don't care. So it's a disaster. So what do we do about it? So I've come to the point where I feel the only choice that we have is to make startup funds, make open startup funds amongst us, the public, the other 99%, come together collectively in teams and form these funds. And it could be anybody together. So instead of, usually a VC will be one guy with a lot of money, maybe he'll get together 2 or 3, 4 people together and make a small VC fund of already wealthy, exited founders or rich people. And then they reach out to some rich investors and raise a fund, and that's it. And it is completely private. Nobody sees what they do. Nobody gets access to any of it. None of it is televised. So nobody gets to learn from this in society. There's no TV shows like Shark Tank where you get to watch any of this. No one gets to learn this industry, how it works, how it happens. There's no education platform. There's no education system for this, for the public. It's all totally siloed off. And even when they do invest, these venture capital investors, they hide all of the deals. They hide all of the details. You can't even find out what's the percentage of shares that they demanded for this deal and how much money and whatnot. You don't get to see anything. So the public doesn't even have the opportunity to learn. The founders don't even have the opportunity to learn. They just hear like what maybe it will be about. It should be around in these ranges, but there's no transparency. There's no accountability. There's nothing open. There's no roadmap that has actually been built in a structure for people to follow, and they can come in behind and do this kind of thing. There is nothing like that. It's really quite ridiculous. The only exception that I've ever seen is maybe VC Lab in Palo Alto, and they hide all of it too. They even hide their cohort list. So when they launch these 200 VC a year, they hide it. Maybe they're not launching 200 VC. Maybe they're full of shit. I don't know. But they don't even have a list. So if I want to look as a personal investor, if I want to look at those funds and contact those fund managers and say, okay, well, I want to see what emerging managers there are. That means a new manager. I want to see what new funds there are, and maybe I'll invest some money into those VC funds. I can't even get in contact with them. I can't even find out who they are. So, I mean, it's so ridiculous. It's just so incompetent. It's such a shadow of what this industry should be, could be, and needs to be to achieve these goals for humanity. And the only thing that we can complain, and I'll certainly complain a lot about it. People will see that, and then people will become much more educated hearing these things, because nobody's talking about this in the VC industry. Nobody has the balls to do it. And it can get you shunned from the VC industry to criticize any of these people or participants or methods at all. It's got to be one of the softest industries in the world in terms of they have no ability to accept any criticism. Very arrogant, very snot-nosed people in general, very mortally wounded. And now we have the Generation X. They were okay, but you have Generation Y, the millennials, the Zoomers, right? You have these younger VCs that are very, cancel culture and mortally wounded types. They can't take any criticism at all. And when they're so high and mighty VCs and come through their, Oracle backgrounds of exited vice presidents at some big tech company, I mean, they're pretty generally, they got some pretty fat heads. So nobody criticizes in this industry. They're very careful to keep their mouth shut so they don't miss out on an opportunity. So everybody's got their noses up the arses of other people, hoping that a dollar one day will possibly fall out, and nobody's telling the truth about what's happening. So I'm not such a person, and I've become so frustrated with this that I couldn't stop myself. But I think it provides a good window to learn for others from my experience. And so I'll be talking about it a lot. And it's a rare window that will help people, because no one's talking about these subjects. So we're here to educate, and I'll be putting out ads. I think I was running some numbers earlier. I think we'll get a huge response when I start running open advertising for people to get into VC for free and connect with us. And once we have advertising on the job websites and whatnot, I think there's going to be a lot of people that will join. I've got 7 people so far that are quite interested to join our open VC, business professionals and other founders already. One venture capital investor that said that he will come to our meetings. So our next one will be Saturday. So hopefully he will join in there. That time will probably work for him, but we'll see what happens with that. And I'm not really going to go after VC. Not going to be trying to invite VC to existing VC to join. I'm mostly gonna do, like I said, advertising on different job sites. I've decided I will do that and bring people in that way. And then I'm going to target financial advisors and financial planners in America and just call them, reach out this way, and try to get some of the financial industry guys with a bit of financial background like myself, speak the same kind of language. They understand financial planning. They understand business analysis. They really understand the fundamentals of what it takes to make a business profitable and focusing on, the technical foundation, the TradFi, if you will, of what makes a business actually investable, sustainable on a financial basis, with all of the ratios, etc. And they're used to the stock market. They're used to actual real companies, not this bullshit flash in the pan, fake startups, Silicon Valley scams, scam Altman kind of like just wild, total bullshit that just vaporizes hundreds of millions of dollars every single day. There's another mega scandal every single day coming out of Silicon Valley, like $1 billion mega scandal every single day. And there's like $400 or $500 million mega scandals and debacles and collapses coming out of Silicon Valley every single day now. I mean, it's just scam city coming out of there. So I'm going to go after the people that are not part of that are from the rest of the economy, that are just sick and tired of seeing this and seeing how these Silicon Valley VCs are ruining the world. I mean, you look at the RICO cartel that they propped up, the censorship industrial complex they propped up, and these just dystopian nightmare totalitarian dictatorship companies they propped up, like Palantir, and this vaccine passport industry, and all of this just absolute psychosis. Humanity doesn't want that, but the reason that this is all happening is just a wild greed and this establishment criminality and this merging point between the defense, the military industrial complex, and the defense investment industry complex, and the intelligence agencies and all of the evil in there, and this corrupt quasi-government intelligence industry, government and consultant industry establishment, and establishment only total control over this, and then this deep state elite wealthy private equity companies hawking over and vulturing over this industry. It's really created a situation where I mean, what a dystopian world that these people are building for everybody. We need a much more distributed human future, a distributed, decentralized human future for people, a distributed economy, and real change the world, the real spirit of change the world, which is the spirit of funding all over the world into these developing economies, funding these other 99% innovators, right? You have this massive economic problem in America right now with wages, with jobs, with the housing market. Again, everybody's talking about it's going to collapse and imploding. The job market's getting much more difficult, all kinds of things. So it's more needs to be done with the right priorities. So we're going to do our little tiny part, what we can do, even though we don't have a fund, a pool of money yet. We don't have that yet. We're going to have to raise collectively as a team and build this out. So we don't have financial backers. We don't have the big financial relationships, but it's just, I've just had enough. They forced my hand. It's just, this industry is just too incompetent to actually do anything about this for humanity, clearly. So I've just had enough. I've had it up to here. They forced my hand. So I'm going to make a venture capital fund. I wish I didn't have to, but I feel that I have to at this point in time. It's got to be done. And I'm in a country, Cambodia, building over here, where there's no venture capital fund. There's never been a venture capital fund not a real one, for real startups in the history of the entire country for 20 million people. It'd be the 5th largest state in all of America, bigger than many, many countries, right? So number 5 behind California, New York, Florida, Texas, right? Then you'd have Cambodia with 16 million, 17 million people strong, and not a single VC, and no other VC investing into here. If you have a already existing company that's wildly profitable for many years, don't need the money anymore, okay, then maybe some VC will throw a $250,000 check at you or something like that, but nothing legitimate, right? It's just outrageous. And 3,200 NGOs in the country stealing $2.2 billion a year. All of this money's gone, and they want to talk development and never make a startup fund and never fund a startup. I mean, these people are criminals. I'm sorry, but not sorry to say, but there need to be massive arrests, massive criminal investigation, just like Doge over here. And in all of these companies or countries, you need a Doge in every country, and you need the criminal FBI level raiding everybody, forensic financial crime investigation level, not the little Elon Musk coder pals, coder teenagers going in there and doing that. You need the FBI style version of this, going after all of these people, because it's just nothing but absolute criminals in there and crime. And there's no exception. You cannot find any exception. I haven't seen it. And if anybody wants to pretend or claim that they know somebody that's an exception, get them to fund a startup first, then talk, bring the documents, and then talk. Don't say, oh, well, go talk to this guy. I mean, it's just so ridiculous. So that's some of my intro here. Let me go to my guest here. We've got a guest in the room here. I wasn't sure if I would even have any guests for the first meeting, though we had Esteban. I guess Esteban had to run off, but he'll be back with us. Again, another founder who's building a molecular design artificial intelligence app, which will probably be quite useful. But again, having a hard time getting funding. It's a perfect time to fund something like that. But who's going to fund it? And there's going to be hundreds of these kind of incredible businesses that are needed, molecular regulation platforms, and they don't get the money, and it just doesn't happen. So then we're left with our corrupt FDA, corrupt CDC, and these other legacy industries, and it just never changes. And that's a problem being created by lack of VC and bad VC. So we have a Mark in the meeting here. Mark, if you want to unmute and ask any questions or make any comments so far, you're welcome to join in. Apologies for being so long here for the very first ever online broadcast and meeting of the if you're there, Marco, you can just feel free to unmute and then jump in, because you're muted right now. I cannot unmute you. You have to unmute yourself. But so we have a Marco here with us today. So thank you for coming, Marco. And anybody else is welcome to contact. I should probably open up the chat on the because I'm not a streamer. And I would ask everybody to support Weaponized News and go to the Weaponized News website, weaponizednews.com, and support this wonderful independent media guy, Sam Chaney. Get yourself some of his Weaponized News stickers, and maybe send the guy a coffee or something like that. He's been running this incredible independent media platform for 15 years, educating people on all of this news that in different topics that nobody's talking about, and he does covers a huge range of amazing topics. And he's been sponsoring us by letting us use his platform, which I really greatly appreciate, and helping us to do some more networking, giving us the air. And one thing I've never seen is any of these breakthrough energy innovators ever get any media support. there's 1,000 of these fake grifters on the internet, fake grifters everywhere that use all the dead innovators like Nikola Tesla, whatnot, and clickbait off of them. But they never show any of the alive innovators like us. And there's even 15,000 clean energy startups on a single list. That includes a bunch of climate junk too. But there's this huge list, and none of them ever has any of them on their show. And none of them would feature someone like us. And I've had my hand up for quite some time saying just the facts of the matter in this industry, that I'm the #1 breakthrough clean energy innovator currently in the world, and maybe in all of history. I've made more technology than anybody ever has before in this industry. I've made more than 5,740 new energy and energy-related technologies so far. And none of these media have had me on for that. I've done molecular engineering, reverse engineering of all of the COVID drugs and the vaccines and all of this different technology over the last 5 years, and exposed all of this, including advising the remdesivir class action lawsuits and so on. I teach and advise doctors worldwide remotely as well from here, and help them with all of that. I'm a molecular engineer, reverse engineer, and electrochemist, and I unravel all of this and study this incessantly, and teach it. And many different shows I've been on, maybe 250 different media, independent media shows and channels and presentations so far over the last 5 years of, as I call it, fraud-vid, COVID. But people they're interested in that, but they're not interested in the breakthrough energy technology innovators. If there's some new gadget that's got a lot of money for some marketing campaign on whatever consumer crap marketing channel or something, hey, maybe some people will make they'll grift off of that. They'll make some of their own videos about it for their own thing. But are they actually going to host the founders of this, right? And help sponsor them to raise? No, that's not really happening, right? So I am checking the chat. If anybody wants to chime in on the chat and ask a question, then you're welcome to. I can see that. Eileen Smith is saying hello to me here. Thank you, Eileen. Hello back to you, Eileen. And Plutonian Productions saying hello. Sandwich Time saying hello. And saying hell yeah. So he's encouraging me, and snarky guy, asking what I'm testing and saying good morning. And someone else is saying we love your stream. So I welcome again everybody to contact me and join our open venture capital fund, where we will build. It's called the AOE BAM Fund, which is a business as a mission. So Marco, if you're with us, who's in the Google Meet, you're welcome to just jump in anytime. I'm going to go through some of my presentation here, and just a little bit of it. I won't go too long today, maybe another 20 minutes here without any conversation or involvement for anybody else. I'll go maybe another 20 minutes, and then we'll close it off for today until next week's meeting. So we have okay, so let me get my captions out of the way here. I need to hide that. There we go. Okay, so I decided to make this business as a mission. So what does BAM mean? It means business as a mission. And people might have heard of that organization called YWAM, which is Youth with a Mission. And I thought, if I'm going to do this, it would be nice if I'm going to fund a bunch of different founders. I'm a Christian founder, and one thing I've noticed among the Christians is they're very they have incredible ethics, and especially financial ethics. And there's a lot of in the Christian culture, this idea of financial stewardship, and they're very responsible with money. And the teaching, the indoctrination, if you will, of these ideas and ideals and values in the Christian culture is very strong. They feel great personal responsibility in regards to finance and kingdom building finance. And today in Silicon Valley culture, where you have 99% of the coders committing like 78 or 79% of world international financial crime right now from all of these technology centers. This is just outrageous. And you have 99.9% of the blockchains, the coins, the shit coins, if you will. They're all crime, cyber crime, scams, and they're all made by coders. Those are not made. Those financial crimes are not being committed by real engineers, right? So electrical engineers, mechanical engineers, and so forth. They're not being done by firefighters, police officers, FBI agents, nurses, right? Mechanics, construction builders, right? Your regular workers, your factory workers. This is not being done by everyday people. All of this financial crime is being done by Silicon Valley coders. Maybe not only Silicon Valley, but you get my meaning. The other Silicon Valleys of the world. These people, like there's a massive, not only moral void, ethical bankruptcy amongst these right Silicon Valley ecosystems, if you will, but in their cultures in general. So, and I've seen that is really the biggest risk. Even I now call it, and I know it'll piss some people off, but I'm just going to say what it is. That is the risk of startup investing. If you want to identify any single risk that is the biggest risk of startup investing, it's the values of the founder. And of course, it's the values of the founder. That's the biggest risk that there is. So if I was going to invest a ton of money, my own money, and I might end up having to fund this venture capital fund with my own money from my winnings from Alpha Omega Energy, or additional raising off the back of my energy startup. That's a very large possibility. And I expect, maybe that's a 50-50. I don't know. Will we be able to raise without that? I don't know, actually. I can't guarantee that. You cannot guarantee the future. 70% of venture capital funds that tried to raise, they failed to raise. 70%. And these are your elite people, exited people, trust fund babies that have, come from wealthy families, wealthy backgrounds, have the perfect on paper resumes, the top 1% people, all of these, and 70% of them fail to raise. So I am very confident that if we get 30 members, active members that are in our meetings, contributing to building this fund as a team, I'm very confident that we will raise. I'm absolutely very confident that we will raise. And in a short time, if my energy startup gets funded, any level of money, let's call it even $250,000, I guarantee that combination we will raise for our fund. So I began, I think, if I'm going to allocate money to startups, what kind of founders do I want to fund, right? I certainly want to fund sole founders, because again, these teams, these slap-up teams that all of these chop shops in Silicon Valley force everybody into. Let me get myself up on the screen here as well. These fake incubators and fake accelerators, though there are some real ones, accelerators, they force everybody into these teams, right? Forced teams, and they reject sole founders. And those are your entrepreneurs. Sole founders are your entrepreneurs. These teams, those are not entrepreneurs. Entrepreneurialism, and to be an entrepreneur, is to be like Elon Musk. You own it, right? You own your own business. The idea and the definition of entrepreneurialism is you own your own business. It's not to be right in a cubicle in a corporation, right? That's not entrepreneurship. Entrepreneurship is, right, it's your family business. And Silicon Valley, the private equity industry, has been praying over this, hawking over this like a pack of vultures over the startup industry, making sure that never happens, so that they can control and they can own all of this that comes out of there, lock, stock, and barrel, and they dilute all of the real founders down to 17% to 11% only in equity in just the first round. And for those, some dum-dums might argue with me on that and say, oh, no, they get more than that. Actually, no, they don't. They demand that generally the founders take out 15% slice to the options pool right away. So you only have 85% left. And then they say, we're going to give you a deal and we want to get like 25% of the startup. There's only 85% left. And we demand you have a team of 5 people. So 85 divided by 5 is only 17%, right? But they want 20, the investor wants 25% of the deal. So 85 minus 25%. So you got 60% left. Divide by 5 slapped up founders. The founder only has 12% right out of the jump, right out of the gate. He's diluted down to 12%. So this guy will never, like, it's just a job. It's a high paying job is what it is. He's just a high paying executive with a nice share plan for now. And then in the next round, he's probably going to get diluted down again, right? He's going to get diluted down to 10%, then 8%, then 7%, then 6%. Like that, that's not entrepreneurialism. That's a high paid executive with like a share bonus package, right? Right? I mean, they've communized this, commissarized this completely, eliminating family business, eliminating entrepreneurship, eliminating competition, where they control it. It's just another corporation, and that's it. So there's never any actual independence, any power, any control that these American business people will ever get to have. They'll never get a say. They'll never be able to have the power of the control of the company, of the business, to actually make any real difference, right? So, and of course they don't talk about this because they want to completely brainwash everybody in the other direction. And there's an interesting dichotomy there, where you actually have the number one cause of failure of all startups is the breakup of that slapped up team. And when I say slapped up team, you look at all of these accelerators and incubators, or fake accelerators and fake incubators, I'll call them. So all those that don't have an investment focus, all of those that don't have an investment fund, right? All those who are not spending at least 50% of their budget on bringing in investors and investing in the startups, those are fake, right? They're certainly second rate, no doubt. To say a Y Combinator that focuses and has almost always had their focus, 50% of their money, their budget, their focus, their time is on bringing in investors, because that's what the startup industry is. It's an investment-based business model. It's not, the startup industry is not an organic-based business model. It's an investment-based business model. And people aren't even being told that anymore. It's outrageous for anybody to lie that supposedly a startup can be bootstrapped, or supposedly a startup is an organic business. That's not reality. It's not a startup. So I hope everybody watching this will make sure to let everybody know that a startup is not organic and it cannot be bootstrapped. That's not reality. Now, people have gotten so used to that because all of these keyboarding startups, right? Coding startups, apps, craps, fake reality, fake intelligence. It's just coders on their keyboards coding up something. That business model, maybe you can build the entire product and service and payment model with no materials, with no locations, no buildings, no infrastructure, right? No kitchens, no seating area for your customers, no mechanic shop for your franchise. Maybe you can do that on the keyboard, but the other 95% of the economy, it's impossible. You cannot bootstrap your way to a franchise, right? So, right, and this entire coding industry and the venture capital industry pretend that the rest of the industry of the world, the other 95% of the economy, doesn't even exist. They pretend that everything can be bootstrapped. I mean, these people are so delusional and have like no self-awareness at all. They don't even understand the world that's all around them in 360 degrees in every direction around them. They're totally disconnected from every sense of possible reality that everybody else in humanity is actually experiencing and living. They're like a bunch of aliens off on some different world somewhere. In their minds, they think everyone's a coder and everyone can code and everyone wants to code and everyone will code and everyone should code. They think this. It's totally delusional. You know, the vast majority of humans, 99.7% of humans, do not code. And they don't want to code. And they shouldn't have to code. And now, fortunately, the fake intelligence is you have these apps that are fortunately going to eliminate a lot of the coders and finally bring some no code, which Bill Gates and these other people have fought tooth and nail since the 1990s to eliminate all of that, your Dreamweaver programs and all of this kind of stuff, and make it much more harder to eliminate all the competition. He was pivotal in orchestrating all of that and slowing this down. And he successfully slowed the progress down for humanity by 20 years, by 2 decades. But now fake intelligence is hopefully going to come up with a whole bunch of no-code stuff. So it's going in a good direction. I'm really happy to see that. It's a lot of lost generations, 20 graduating classes gone that they could have had this 20 years ago. It was there, but it was eliminated. So we're going to continue forward building this open venture capital fund. And now I'm just in the process of building out the website. And this is a remote-only VC. It's going to be publicly distributed. Anyone can join and contribute. Anyone can invest or fund or donate. And coming back to what kind of founders that we want to fund soul founders. And the reason that we want to fund soul founders is it is insane to add 65% risk, 65% loss to your portfolio. The number one cause of failure of startups is not the business, is not the product, is not the model. It is the slap-up team that they forced these founders to have in order to go into these incubators and accelerators. And the VCs say, we will not fund soul founders. It's about your team. Who do you got in your team? Team. And this is all a massive, I need some friendly expletives. I'm not thinking of any friendly expletives right now, so I'll skip those. I don't want to swear in the air. But it's such a pile of bullcrap and a fraud and such a psyop and a brainwashing con job that's being done on all these founders to mislead them and take advantage of them and exploit them. Because, of course, the founder is pitching to raise money for what purpose? Obviously, right, to build the franchise and have enough money to hire the staff that he needs to run the franchise, right? So you can think of building a McDonald's. You need $1 million to construct a McDonald's, and you need to have enough money for 18 months of running it until the customers get used to the location, and then they're coming in regularly, so you can be profitable and very profitable. So you need the money to construct the building, and and all the other costs and marketing and whatnot, and you need 18 months of expenses to pay all the staff. So you're raising the money to pay for the staff. But the VC and these accelerators and incubators demand you go find volunteers to build your business for you, right? This is what they demand, and this is how they talk. They say, oh, you're not capable of building a business unless you can recruit a bunch of free volunteers to come volunteer their lives for you for no pay to go into this. And then we're going to demand you be diluted so that we can be in the control in the driver's seat. And even in the first round, we'll have more shares than all of these diluted founders. We'll have much more than you. And we also know that of those 5 slap-up team founders in the first year, 2 are guaranteed going to quit because there's going to be no money for them. We're going to nickel and dime this startup. There's not going to be any money for them to have any salaries. We're going to orchestrate that too, to then make sure that 2 of them quit in the first year. And then nobody's going to buy their shares because there's no IPO, there's no liquidity. The only way they're going to get out is sell their shares to us, the vulture culturalists, the vulture capitalists. So then the VC buys their shares. So now the VC goes from 25% to add 17% to buy out the first, number 5 slapped up founder on the list. He's 5th on the list. He's not the real founder. So he leaves, and now they got 25 plus 17, right? 35, 42% they have, and then 17% from the next guy. So they have 52. They now have 59% of the shares of the company buying out just 2 of the 5. And then in year 2, one of those 3 are going to be gone. So now they have, right, what was the net? What was that at, 52%? So 34, 17, and 17 and 25. So okay, 59%. Okay, so now the third guy, founder number 3, right? Fake founder number 3 leaves. So 59, 69, 76% now they have, right? When they buy out that guy. And probably the number 2 founder, who's not the real founder, in the second or third year, he will leave also. And in the fourth year or fifth year, only the actual original real founder will be left. And the VC will have like 80% or more, right, of the shares, and the original founder will have 5 to 10%. And that's their plan. That's why they're doing this. Of course, they don't tell anybody that they're doing this, but that's what they're doing. And it's actually the strategy of many VC to do this. Of course, they'll never say that. No, you'll never see any VC coming on a video cast and admitting that. You'll never see any founders daring to confront them on this topic, right? Because they're all so afraid to say anything about it. So it's a self-censored industry. And of course, Silicon Valley is the most censored place in human history. But it's a self-censored industry, which just makes it more corrupt all the time. It's just a self-fulfilling prophecy of more corruption and more incompetence and more corruption and more incompetence. And that's why you have record financial crime, never before seen in history, coming out of Silicon Valley, and it's growing at record pace every year. We now have $15 trillion a year in cybercrime and financial crime. It's the biggest sector in the world. It's bigger than the energy industry. The financial crime and cybercrime industry is bigger than the entire energy industry. And the vast majority of that currently is done by coders. It's done by the Silicon Valley people of the world. They go and they learn these skills, and then they go into cybercrime and committing crimes. So you have an incredible values vacuum in there. So once you have these slap-up teams break up, and these other founders go in different places, and the VC often won't buy their shares, and he'll buy the shares for pennies on the pennies on the pennies from these exiting, leaving, quitting founders, exploiting them, taking advantage of them, and then they're gone, and then the company implodes, and you have failure. So then the VCs lose their money. So, and it's almost like most of the VCs, they're more than willing to do it this way. They're not even willing to do it any other way. That's clear. They won't fund sole founders, most of them. If you're a sole founder, they're just saying, beat it. We're not even going to talk to you. We don't want to know you. We don't want to know what great technology. Even if you literally invented the holy grail of energy, we don't give a shit. Go F yourself. Only in Silicon Valley, only through our slap-up teams, only if we can exploit you down to nothing, only open source. They don't care. They would rather all of humanity be dead tomorrow than support these founders. And most VC are like that. They don't want to admit that. Many won't like. They'll be all bent out of shape that anybody like myself would ever say that. Many of them will cancel culture me just from saying that one time. They'll block. They'll never be back here again. This is what's going on. And humanity needs better and deserves better and always deserved better. And every VC that is like that and has that kind of mentality should be run out of the business. They should be their funds should be seized, and that money should be handed over to actual venture capital investors that will do the right thing with the money. That will actually fund humanity, fund merit-based business models, and fund actual entrepreneurs. So so you have 65% of startups are failing because of this slap-up business model. The teams, right? And their volunteer teams, right? And that's just a recipe for disaster. And not only is it a recipe for disaster, but you also have, that's not real business. No corporation in the world and no franchise in the world operates on volunteer workers. It's not reality. No McDonald's puts advertisements out in the newspaper saying, hey, we're looking for 10 new volunteers to come into our corporation and work for free for 18 months. Right? With the hopes that maybe you'll get some shares or something, but there's nothing built here. That's not professional business. There's nothing professional about that, in fact. There's no corporation in the world that does that. right? So this, for VC to demand that of founders is just completely bullshit. It's just completely outrageous, right? They're super cheap, cheap asses. They don't want to do it the right way. They're trying to nickel and dime the founders, exploit the founders, take advantage of them, right? It's not ethical. It really is not ethical. And these people have a lot of money, and they can afford to fund fewer, much more secure, much more reliable, merit-based startups. They can fund those with less money and make them much more secure, doing it the right way, instead of deliberately adding a 65% fail rate to their portfolio. Now, I don't know about you, but if I was, let's say you're a venture capital investor, and I made a venture capital fund, and you were to give me your hard-earned money, your family's life savings, and say, Thomas, I need you to invest my money into 10 startups that are going to do very well. Don't lose my money, right? Would you want me to add a guaranteed 65% loss rate to your investments? Or would you want me to take the choice that is guaranteed to eliminate that 65% loss rate? Now, myself being an investor also, there's no way in hell I'm going to invest to a fund that has the incompetence to add an additional 65% failure rate to the portfolio. That is not a sound financial manager. I'm not giving my money to somebody like that. I don't know about you. Maybe you say, well, there's the rare chance that a bunch of these top people could come together and make the next Google, and I'll make a few more X. Maybe instead of 10X, I'll make 15X or 50 or something. Maybe the big home run of greed, maybe I strike it rich on this one. I mean, okay, you have that temptation, but you're going to lose 7 out of 10 to 9 out of 10 times right out of the gate from that. I mean, this is an asinine, recklessly irresponsible model that is like for casino kids with no maturity and no responsibility at all. You don't entrust capital in the future of human capital to people doing that. When the world needs 6 million more VC funds and needs these 50 million a year, 50 million new businesses a year funded, you don't vaporize all of the capital into these wild Ponzi scam debacles one after the other, just hoping that there's like the one next Uber. But this is literally the vast majority of the VC industry. The power law, it's all that they talk about. They say, 90% of our returns come from, just a few of these investments. Well, that's their fault. They could easily choose to do things in a much more sustainable way and hit a 90% batting average or even 100% batting average, investing in completely no-brainer, super secure investments. They're probably not going to do 1,000X, but they're definitely going to do 3, 4, 5X. But where are the VC doing that? You can't even find one that has that slogan. So they're all underperforming. All of the average return of these $100 million venture capital funds is only 1.7X. 1.7X in 10 years. So they can't even double themselves 2 times. This is how asinine they are and how much the venture capital industry is completely failing. Imagine this, folks. Imagine somebody gives you $5 million. Let's go up $6.2 million in average Silicon Valley seed round, $6.2 million. And you can't, in 10 entire years, you can't construct a Taco Bell franchise and then construct a second Taco Bell franchise and then a third Taco Bell franchise in 10 years. You cannot construct 3 Taco Bell franchises in 10 whole years on $6.2 million. Now, if you can't do that, I'm sorry, but you are an absolute financial loser and you need to get the hell out of the business. You definitely have no place in venture capital. You have no place in the venture capital industry if you're not competent, if you cannot guarantee that, to beat that as a VC. And most VC don't even do this, folks. That's how bad they are, and that's how bad they're failing. Because they're just Ponzi scamming into every establishment elite everybody together, follower garbage, deal flow, deal flow, deal flow. And that's where all the money's going. And then you get these record $100 million implosions, $500 million implosions, 6, 7, 8, 10 million billion dollar implosions. 36 billion was Nikola Motors. 84 billion was WeWork. That's what we're getting instead. Imagine how many startups that $84 billion could have funded. And the VC knew that this is going to implode, and it's a Ponzi scam. And they're all getting involved in these Ponzi scams, and they don't care. They don't care, and it's what they want to do. They don't want to fund the real economy startups, or they would. They obviously don't want to. They're not interested in that, and they're not. So all of humanity is suffering, and suffering greatly as a result of these people and their broken mentality and broken culture. And it's getting worse. It's getting more corrupt, not better. So making a venture capital fund, I decided I want to fund soul founders. So we eliminate 65% of the problems, the politics, the garbage, the lack of alignment, and instant 65% success ratio there. Fund these startups properly, not nickel and dime and pennies, because also running out of money and running out of cash, and not only because they didn't have a viable business model, but because they were underfunded, which of course the VC never take any responsibility for that. And the industry itself, due to not taking any responsibility, never reports on this. But the underfunding of startups that need to be funded with at least something to survive until they can make it, that is very common, that they're not funded properly, and they will die because of that. So you have an extra 10%, you could say, right there. So 65 plus 10, 75% of the failure rate of startups is caused by these two things alone, let alone all of the other failures of VC. And the VC always blame the founders. Everything's the founder's fault. Nothing is ever the VC's fault. Don't you dare ever say that anything is the VC's fault, even though, folks, it's the VC who always decide to fund that. Right? So actually, in 100% of cases, it's the VC's fault. They could have chose to fund somebody else. They chose to fund that founder who effed things up, who stole the money, who did this massive embezzlement fraud, who was just like a faker, a pretender, an establishment elite suckholer, one of these entitled trust fund baby people, whatever, who had no intention to actually build anything. And they have all these other options in life. They have rich family, rich friends, a big, a golden background and CV. They've got all the opportunities in the world. So they get funded by the VC and they don't really work. And then it's just a democratic social project anyway, right? Where nobody has any real alignment. There's no real decision maker in there. You got 5 decision makers in the company. So they just fart around and then there's nothing happening inside of this. And then it just eventually implodes or dies off. And they have no incentive anymore right after the first round, because now they only have 17% or 10% of the shares. It's not their company. So they don't care about it like they would if it was their company, their baby, their name, their mission, their family's namesake for generations into the future. There's a complete difference in passion there, obviously. But of course, the VC industry they never talk about this because it's been completely controlled. This narrative has been completely controlled for everybody. So we will fund only soul founders. But then I was thinking about, there needs to be duplication. We need to be able to duplicate ourselves, make 1,000 copies. How do you do that? I mean, it's unthinkable to think of that and not reliable to generate that result, but we need to try to duplicate. And how do we do that? So it'd be nice to involve some apprentices, certainly try to inject some apprentices into those companies. But I would say hired staff, which if they perform really well, they can earn shares in the company and whatnot, more like executives with bonus pools and stock options and everything else in there. But certainly not decision-making co-founders when they weren't a founder to come up with the idea and the business plan. They're not the people that are sacrificing their lives for 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 10 years before they actually even go to raise. The real founder is the real founder. There's a time for the founding. Once the company's founded, that's it. But the VC industry collectively today and the startups industry wants to pretend that supposedly co-founders can be added anytime. I mean, it's just such bullshit and totally delusional, right? It's just not reality. But people, I mean, this is the sorry state of affairs of how bad it's gotten in this industry. And once a company's founded, the founding is done. That's it. You can't add a co-founder like after this company, you know, the founder's been grinding on it for a year full time. It's already finished. I'm sorry, it's finished. People that'll talk that somebody else is going to be a co-founder to this, it's completely not reality and delusional. But this pretense continues. So we'll fund soul founders, and also I decided that I want to fund Christian founders, and for a large number of reasons. I won't go into all of that today because I've run overtime of what I wanted to do for today into the next meeting. But I want to fund Christian founders, and do you could say partially my own experience so far in life, seeing and living on and being on all sides of the different aisle, if you will, of life, non-Christian living to Christian living, and being around Christians, to not being around them, to living in Silicon Valley, being around all of these people and these different groups at the cocktail parties after the meetings and all of this. And I would say that Christians don't walk the same, they don't think the same, they don't have the same values. They're almost like aliens, you could say. They're different people. They have a different operating software than the others. And all of this crime and all of this cyber crime is coming from the non-Christian people. It's not coming from the Christian people. In vast majority. Of course, people will screech about some anecdotal exception somewhere or something like this. But there's almost no Christian founders funded. And there's not a single Christian venture capital company in the entire world. Not one. There are a couple pretenders, and there's not even any Christian VCs in the entire world that I've ever come across. There's a couple others that are advertising themselves kind of as this that I have not been able to get in touch with yet. But looking at their guidelines of what they fund, they are not true venture capital investors. They don't do early stage. They don't do early stage. So, and if you don't do early stage, you're not really a real VC. You're not a full VC. A full VC, full venture capital investor, is the venture. There's no venture if there's no risk of loss. If the company's already profitable, there's no risk of loss. You can claim that there's no risk of loss. That's a stock market investor, for Christ's sake. I mean, that's a late stage private equity. That is not a startup investor. Change your name to private equity. Stop using the term venture capital. If you're only follow-on capital, take venture capital off your business card. If you don't lead deals, take venture capital off your business card. If you're going to say only 1 million in annual run rate, take venture capital off your business card. It should not be on there. So I have seen one group. They claim to be a Christian venture capital, but they have no deals, 0 deals on their website. I asked them if they had any deals. I asked them for their deals. They don't share the list. They don't have a list. And they could not answer. They struggled to answer and could not answer and could not give me a name of one single deal that they've done. They went off in these other directions and made excuses. I would even question if that person is Christian after that, because that's dishonest. So I would even question that. And there's another VC who says that he is a Christian, but his VC is not Christian, and he doesn't believe in funding Christian founders. This is not his priority. It's not his passion. It's not his interest. So he's not a Christian VC. And I would question if you're a Christian and that's not your desire, your passion, your understanding, and you don't want to make that a priority, I would say you're not even a Christian. I would say that also. Not yet. Maybe you think you are, but you've got a long way to go. You got a long way to go. And if you're only funding in the richest centers in the world and you're not funding to the poor, which is what Jesus did. Jesus went to the poor, not the rich. And if you're not doing that, or really, if that's not really in your heart of hearts, really have that be part of your life and what you're doing, you're not a Christian, because you're totally different to Jesus. And the definition even to be a Christian is to be like Jesus, to follow Jesus, to copy Jesus in Jesus' way. So I would not, I'd have some severe reservations about even classifying that guy as a Christian so far, because he's very completely on a wrong thinking line of what it takes to actually live the Christian life, if you will, right, according to Jesus. So I've never seen it nor come across yet what I would consider to be a Christian VC. And there's millions of Christian business people around the world. So if I'm going to found a funder and fund a founder and entrust them with my money and entrust them with the money of my limited partners, the investors that invest to my fund that I'm going to invest to founders, and the number one risk is the founder, right? And is the ethics of the founder. Are they going to do what they say? That's the main thing, right? Are they going to do what they say? Because they come to a venture capital fund and they say, I'm going to do A, B, C, D, E, F, G, X, Y, Z, and I'm going to do it in this period of time with this much money. And this is my level of confidence, and I'm willing to die for my business to make this happen. So they give you their word, and you have to ultimately entrust them on their word. And they're either going to do it or not. So it's a character bet. It's a personal bet, a character bet. And so that, the VCs say, we're going to invest in you. We invest in people, not in companies. But when a VC talking this, and maybe most of the time their mouths are moving, it's all lies, it's all bullshit, because they don't invest in people. What they're investing in is their social profile. So if the perfect social profile to succeed in the Ponzi scam of getting everybody else to pile in on top of them to make yet another Silicon Valley massive Ponzi scam debacle, and they don't care what happens as long as they get out and make their money, they don't really care who's this person. And another conviction of that is all of the VCs say, quote unquote, a good person is not an investment criteria of our fund. So our investment criteria does not include a good person. Wow, holy shit. And since this is the way that they do things, is there any wonder why Silicon Valley has become so evil? And why they're running this massive dystopia when that's their values? They don't care about this. That's not an investment criteria. They will even mock founders that think it would be there something to do with it at all, which is outrageous. Now, if I'm funding people, if I'm empowering people, financing people, endowing people with the financial means to go build a business, right, this critical infrastructure for the economy and the economic future of humanity, I need to know that that's a good person. Not only do I want them to be a good person, I need to know that that is a good person, that that's a good human being that's going to be doing the right things, is not going to be another Jeffrey Epstein. It's not going to be another, all of these, these whack jobs and all of this evil stuff that they're up to behind the scenes that they don't show you. We need to know that. So I want to eliminate that risk and the fraud risk, right? Christians are not frauding the money. They'll live like paupers. They'll live on nothing to make sure that this happens. And if they fail, they feel the moral obligation and they have the intention that they have to pay their investors back. They live with this complete and total value system. They don't live in a different universe. They're not the same as the Silicon Valley snakes that are totally fine with stealing all of this money or vaporizing all of this money and putting it onto the investors. These are like two different species of humans, like aliens and Ferengi or something like this. The Silicon Valley are like some kind of Ferengi or something. And these Christians, like, they're totally different in how they think and operate and what they feel and how they do things. They have a completely different moral code than these other people. And if I'm going to put my money and other people's money into founders and entrepreneurs, and we depend, our financial success and our money, our capital depends on that, you bet your ass I'm going to put it with the most ethical people that I can find of quality business acumen, and help them double the freaking construct the franchise, the first one, and then double that, build 2 more in the next 10 years. And if we're only doing that, we got to be the laziest people on earth, because there are tens of millions of people in America even trying to scratch and claw and drag themselves across the freaking desert, across countries, just to get into America in the hopes of having a better life one day, maybe. Tens of millions of them fighting to get to a better life, fighting to experience some drop of the American dream for their families and themselves. They are willing to go do a hell of a lot more work than just those 3 franchises in 10 entire years. So I will not. I think I'm going to fund exclusively Christian founders. Some people won't like that. Some people won't have the same values of that. They won't agree with me on that. But there's no other VC in the world doing this. There just isn't. And we're finding a real startup fund, so early stage, first check, and to Christian founders. There's no other VC in the whole world doing this, period. If there's anybody else, prove it. Bring the documents, bring your full book, and we're going to do it publicly. We're going to have every single receipt online. We're going to have all of the deals and details, shareholdings, cap tables, everything online for everybody to access. We're going to have full transparency, full accountability, full inclusion online. Nobody else has done this. No one is doing this right now. I just talked to a VC who made this bullshit excuses to me. I asked him for his LP agreement, and he says that, oh, I can't send that out. Oh, it's private. I ask again. He says, it's like 80 pages. I can't send it out. I don't care if it's 1,000 pages. I didn't ask you how many pages. I said I want the LP agreement. I want to see what the mandate of the fund is. No, he doesn't publish that. He doesn't put it on the website. None of these VC even have the balls to put their mandate on the website, because their model is based on exploiting founders. They don't dare tell the founders what they told the VC. So they go to the VC general partners that are running the VC funds. They go to the limited partners that they raise the money from, and they tell them, okay, we want money, and we're gonna give you X return, 3X, 5X, whatever it is. That's your LP mandate, your limited partner mandate, the mandate of the fund. How much are you going to return, and what's your thesis? What's your strategy? They tell that to the investors that then invested in the fund, and then they turn it right around and hide all of that from the founders, and then start talking 10 to 100X minimum to the founders to exploit the founders. I'm so sorry, folks, but this is just like, bleep, bleep, bleep. And I really wish somebody, I had a producer to bleep me out. This is just total bullshit. It's corrupt. It's immoral. It's wrong. It's not transparent. It's not accountable. Why don't we have a transparent, like, above board, open, actually properly discussed financial model that everybody can agree on? Right? Like we have in real estate, like we have in mutual funds, like we have in every other industry of the entire world. But no, this one's got to be you got to make excuses that this is okay, and that this is actually some kind of, okay thing to do. There's got to be excuses made to continue this crap. It's just such a joke. It's just such a disgrace. It's so weak. It's so pathetic. And humanity deserves better. Anybody who's doing that, really shame on you. What the hell's wrong with you? Be better. Start to act like an actual human. Do your effing job. Grow the hell up. Become a real man. Actually show people, stand by what you actually have instead of skulking around like some criminal. Front out your documents and show people what you're actually doing, and have an actual above board agreement, and fund good people. Stop funding these satans, because they're so ruthless that they're probably going to stab 100 people in the back to make your Ponzi scam winnings. So that's what they fund, and they love to fund these ruthless founders. It's just such a joke. So what's the fruit of their labor that these people have resulted for in humanity? The fruit of their labor is a $15 trillion a year cybercrime and financial crime industry that's growing at like 30%, 30%, right? Annual growth rate. They all want to talk about the annual growth rate. Their best performing industry that the Silicon Valley VCs have created so far, their best performing industry is the financial crime and cybercrime industry. That's their best performing gift to the world of what they've contributed to the world so far. I mean, you look at how big this industry is, bigger than the entire insurance industry. It's almost as big as the banking industry. We are losing all of the hopes and dreams of humanity, all the infrastructure that humanity needs to feed everybody, to clothe everybody, to get everybody electricity, water, sanitation, energy for development, to quote unquote solve climate change, solve these environmental issues, solve all of the health problems for humanity, make total world peace and everything else. All of that money is being smoked in Silicon Valley cybercrime and financial crime, brought to you by the VC industry, funded and backed and produced by the VC industry and the criminals that they've decided to support and fund and invest instead of funding these little do-gooder Christians, because they hate people that actually have any values. It's so disgusting, and we're all paying the price. Everybody in humanity is paying for the price for these people's actions right now. And there's a huge human cost to this and massive human consequence that nobody even wants to start talking about. So we will right, build a niche. We will find Christian founders and Christian founders only. Nobody else is. So somebody can complain about that, but nobody else is. I mean, let's have some diversity. What about diversity, equity, and inclusion, right? Right? So we'll be the only ones doing it. You can't fault us for doing it. I mean, there's what I think got to be 1,000 people of color funds out there. I've been living in Asia for 16 years. I've been married to people of color, so a couple of them. I'm a widow, so a couple of them, and have no issue funding any color. And my plan was to fund all Cambodian Christians, actually, 100% of them. I would certainly choose to fund a Cambodian Christian over an American over here, another American over here. Just for you know, I went out to the developing economy to lift these people and do something good for, you know, people of these the world. So I have that idea and intention. I wouldn't automatically exclude, say, an American founder building something of real merit base in Cambodia. I wouldn't want to go that far to have an exclusion on where somebody's bloodline background or something like that. I wouldn't really go that far, but I would much rather fund the local Cambodian and the Cambodian Christians. So incredible, impeccable ethics and values. So I started thinking about this more. Where am I going to find my Christian founders? And I started looking into this, and I decided maybe I can go through that YWAM organization, which is Youth with a Mission. So that's why I have the YWAM BAM Fund up here on the screen. And I decided, okay, I'm going to make it the YWAM BAM Fund, and that will be the name. Now I've changed the name to the AOE BAM Fund because I'm not officially endorsed or sponsored by or officially approved to do this by YWAM yet. Maybe that'll happen at some point in time in the future, maybe not. I don't know. And that's actually outside of my control. And sometimes, you know, as Christians are, they can be very careful, very conservative, very protective, very safe. They don't want to take any chances on anything. That's why none of them invest in startups, right? Right. Unfortunately, it's very sad, that part of it. But they might decide that maybe they don't even like me using their name and doing this. Maybe they might feel like, oh, you know, who knows what this guy's going to do. Maybe that makes them uncomfortable. Maybe they won't like it. So even though my intentions were incredibly romantic and full of love and passion and teary eyes and passion to do something so great like this, and then couple and partner with some amazing Christian organization like this that's doing incredible things all across the world, 18,000 volunteer staff in 180 countries, mostly educating the youth and young adults to be better people, go out into the world and change the world. Wow, really incredible organization. So I thought, why don't we make a fund and fund their business people? They have many thousands of these Christian missionaries, and they train them for 9 months in this rigorous training, ethical training, and Bible study training, missionary training. Really, they're already Christians, already devout Christians, and most of them come up in Christian families. So they have this real heart and soul for Jesus and humanity, and being a humanitarian, and really just living lives of loving other people. They already have that. That's not something. And then they go through this intensive course, but that they pay for. Their families have to pay money for that. They go out into these other countries and go and do mission work, go do charity work, supporting people, and do all kinds of these different submissions. I mean, it's incredible. And when they come out of there, a completely different person, and very strong in their soul and character, very rooted in professional values and in the highest form of business ethics that you can find anywhere in the world. Those are the kind of founders that I want to back. So I went to the YWAM office here in Cambodia, the headquarters office, and talked to them about this. Told them my intentions that I'm going to do this, but I don't have official approval. So, and I'm used to taking good ideas to pastors who are not involved in the business aspect of life, don't care about it. They're missionaries. They don't want to be involved in this, and they'll just treat you like a leper if you're doing anything business oriented or investment oriented. They'll literally treat you like a leper. And if you're doing something clean energy, right, because all of the conservatives have been brainwashed against this, they will treat you like 10 times a leper. So I've experienced that a lot. So I thought, probably I should wait on the YWAM BAM Fund name and just go with the AOE BAM Fund involving my Alpha Omega Energy startup. Do this. And then later on, maybe we can make a second fund called the YWAM BAM Fund that is endorsed by them. So we do something so great, we achieve success in the AOE BAM Fund, and then when the YWAM sees that, who knows what will happen? I mean, we can't predict the future. Maybe they will fund us. Maybe they will have us come in and teach this and help them build a YWAM BAM Fund that they fund through their organization, through their network. It'd be such a privilege. I would love to do that. How awesome would that be that we created another VC fund and created the second Christian VC fund in the world ever? How awesome would that be? That'd be so awesome. And the potential is huge with an organization like that because they have 18,000 staff in 180 countries. Imagine if they copied this model and they did this across all 180 countries. Imagine the impact that would make for humanity. It would be absolutely unbelievable. It'd be unthinkable. So if I could result in that happening, wow, that would be so amazing, man. So we'll see what happens. Can't predict the future, but I'm going to build in that general direction. And then when we fund these startups, I will try to pluck different people from their network and put them into these businesses as apprenticeships, as assistant managers, and so on, and hire as many staff from there as we possibly can, so that they can learn as much of this as they can, and then duplicate this process. So that's my idea and where I'm going with this, and how much of that happens versus hiring from anywhere, we will see. I've hired staff before in my startup, and you can't always find. As you're building at speed, you generally very often have to take who's available rather than being able to hire only Christians or something like that. The majority of humans are not Christians, so it's nice when you can get them, but sometimes they're not available. And in the coding disciplines, there's not very many of them, obviously, as well. So you always got to compromise when you're building anything of any size in humanity, obviously. So again, the AOE BAM Fund is an open source VC, is remote to the entire world, and that's why I'm doing it this time slot, so that all of Europe and Africa can see us. We're still open in the Asia hours. It's nighttime, but for those people who are around, they can maybe see this, and maybe they're up later. Maybe they're looking to do something of meaning and value with their life, get involved with a mission of meaning and value. Maybe they'll join with us. And then it's the American Business Day. So we got the entire world kind of covered. It's one of the only time slots that really works for that. So that's why we're doing it this time slot. And we'll do Tuesday daytime in America time, 10 a.m. Texas time, and Saturday 10 a.m. Texas time. Those are the times that we're going with, Tuesday and Saturday. So I'll be here every Tuesday and Saturday on the streaming across the Weaponized News platform, doing these open meetings. Today is a very long presentation, the first one of what we're doing, so people can really sink into a long podcast or video cast, and this will be on all of the AOE BAM Fund social media accounts, which I'm making. I was making several of them today. And we have our website here. Let me put that up, which is a work in progress. It's a total mess right now as I'm just building it, but people can go there if they want to start to see that. It's aoebamfund.tilda.ws. This is a free website builder, which is pretty good. And unlike all the others, it's completely free. You never have to pay anything for it. And so I like it. It's easy to use. So anybody looking to make a website and you want a really good free template builder site there, you can use Tilda. If you want to buy a site, you can of course point at your own domain if you use your own domain. But in the spirit of starving student startup, until we're funded for our full commercialization for our energy technology, we're just going to leave it like this in the spirit of true startup. So aoebamfund.tilda.ws. My startup is at A Omega Energy, like Alpha Omega Energy, aomegaenergy.tilda.ws. So the BAM Fund website, I'll be working on it all this week, try to get that finished. And we'll be continuously working on that, and then working on videos, intro videos for the BAM Fund, short ones, little 3-minuters and 5-minuters to explain what we're doing. And we'll be advertising heavily, trying to find as many people as we can to join our Zoom meetings and Google Meet meetings. And we'll open those up and air those publicly for everybody to join. And everybody can finally get more access to getting involved with an open public venture capital fund that's built online, that's built in the public for everybody, by everybody, and everybody can earn a piece of this. You don't have to have money to invest in it. Just come and contribute, join and contribute. So you can contact me directly to get on the email list for our meetings. It'll be Tuesday and Saturday at 10 a.m. Texas time for the time being. Unless we change, I might actually change one of the times. So you have one American evening and one American daytime. So we'll see how it goes like this for a few weeks. See how we do, and with the advertising and whatnot. I think it's only a matter of time before we get say 30 regular members in our meetings, kind of working on this and discussing what we're going to do, and networking together, and everybody contributing some little effort through the week on this to build this out. And then we'll raise together some amount, and just a little bit. We're not going to try to raise some huge fund, because that might be difficult to do. We might not be able to do that. But what we can do is raise the first step. That will then help us raise a lot more. And we raise that, we allocate that money to where we can build something and show that'll be very valuable. That will then attract many investors and attract limited partners. And then I do have some contact lists for family offices, angel syndicates, and others that we'll be going after as well. So we need people that, it'd be nice to have some coders. It'd be nice to have people that are used to running email lists, newsletters that go out. That would be very useful. Any video editors would be really useful as members in this. Any people that are social butterflies, connectors that have big people markets. That'd be fantastic to have those. I better check the chat again here. Okay, someone's saying, yeah, you have a good idea here. That's great. Tradesmen, yeah, anybody's welcome to join from all the trades from everywhere. So we will definitely be representing the other 99% here. I'm sick and tired of hearing all of these VC, these snot-nosed VC talking only the 1% should be founded or should be funded, and only the 1% do get funded. That is total bullshit. It's completely anti-human. If you're supposedly a Christian, if you're putting yourself out to be a Christian, and those kind of words are exiting your mouth, I would argue that you're not a Christian at all. And if you're and I right, I could think of somebody who has no deals on his website, claims to be a Christian venture capital, charging huge exorbitant fees to the founders, a fee-based model, charging massive upfront fees to them, and then has no fund, has no deals, doesn't have a single deal to ever mention, but is putting himself out there as a VC. I don't know. Maybe he has some deals. He never talks about it. Nobody knows. The partners don't know. They don't know of any, which tells me they don't have nothing. And that just is like you're yet another bloodsucker. Hey, okay, there's some value. If there's some value teaching high school kids that don't know anything about business at all, and you're charging them a class course fee for them to come to your class and pay, and hey, they got to pay for university. Hey, they got to pay for college. Hey, they got to pay for all these other classes. Yes, I understand that business model. And this guy, he's tying in a lot of this really valuable Christian value stuff into it, which I really appreciate that. I really do. So is that better than this alternate, the satanic version? I would have to say it is, but it still kind of falls. It's still a little bit disappointing to me. Actually, I think he should be doing better than that. I think he can be doing better than that. He certainly talks like he can do better than that. So probably he could. But anyway, that's his choice to do it that way. But I would say, but he's a big talker about only the 1% qualify for funding, and only when you've done it all without their money first, you built it all to success without their money to $1 million a year, over $83,000 a month in revenue, you have to build by yourself without any of their money at all first before they'll ever even consider putting any money into your startup. I mean, I'm so sorry. Take the words venture capital off of your website. You're not a venture capitalist. Say private equity. Just call yourself a Christian private equity fund. That's fine, but that's not. And I would argue that that's not in line with Christian ideals either. It really is not. So I would argue that it's not. So I'm sure he would just cancel culture me, block me on all social media for even saying that. He's a very stubborn guy, but whatever. He would not support me due to my views on this, but I would still support him because at least there's one Christian voice amongst the entire venture capital industry, which is pretty much a vacuum. There's nothing like it anywhere else. So I support him for that and thank him for that, even though he would never support someone like me, strangely enough. Go figure, figuring that out if you're a Christian, right? So anyway, I welcome everybody to contact me here at, let me show again my X account before I wrap up for the day here. Can we get that on the screen here? So here's our X accounts coming up. Oh, I clicked it twice so it went away. Got a little bit of a delay on my screen here. There we go. Should come up here in a second. There it is at AOE BAM Fund, which means business as a mission. AOE BAM Fund, and at AOE VC Breakthrough. So Alpha Omega Energy Venture Capital Breakthrough. So you can send me a direct message there. Welcome to DM me. My DMs are open, always open. Very easy to reach me. And if anybody's interested in this, you're welcome to have a private Zoom call with me to talk to me more about it. And I'll just be building this morning tonight throughout the week. I'm doing a couple of shows on the Weaponized News Network. I will be back in 6.5 hours as a co-host on Weaponized News with Sam Chaney, the wonderful Sam Chaney, here in 6.5 hours for the evening session of Weaponized News. And look forward to doing it. So thank you to all who came to view the first ever opening presentation for the AOE BAM Fund, and hopefully in the future, the YWAM BAM Fund. Hopefully we can, down the future, make that happen and work more closely with this organization to find a way to help them and support them and find some great Christian people that are right out here in these developing countries, leaving their country to go and lift the hearts, minds, souls, and lives of others in these poor countries, like Cambodia, where I chose to come out and build. And if you know anyone like that, please refer them to me. I would love to be their friend. So we'll be here every Tuesday and Saturday at 10 o'clock Texas time in the morning from now. And please get in touch with me. Sign up for the meetings. Hopefully in the next couple of days, the sign up form on the website, I'll have that running as well. That's not done yet on the AOE BAM Fund website. So you can go to aoebamfund.tilda.ws to see that, and you'll be able to see my progress over the next week here of what we get done there. So with that being said, I will wrap up for today. Let's check the chat to see if there's any final comments I need to address here. Plutonian Productions. Welcome to help out Plutonian Productions. You're probably doing some kind of video, I would imagine. It'd be nice to have a video guy contributor. I'm not so video inclined. I'm not one of these video guys. I'm not a YouTuber. I'm not a streamer. This is the fourth time I've ever used this streaming platform in my life. I'm not so inclined. I'm more hard sciences, molecular technology and engineering technology, energy, electrical, physics, and so on. Hard science as opposed to doing the streaming, but I'm learning it after doing a full week hosting. I was forced to host. Sam Chaney said, I need you to host for me for a week. I got something I need to do. So I was thrown into the fire and I thought, wow, okay, I need to keep going. I need to capitalize on this and keep going. And the timing of this, it just happened. Talking to these VC, being very frustrated and just giving up and saying, to hell with these people. They're not going to do it. It's very clear. It's just, we're going to have to do it ourselves. And it's very angering. It's very frustrating. But we can do it. And now we're going to do it. I don't know exactly how long it'll take us to raise and do the first allocation. We don't know. Nobody knows. The more people that come together and contribute to this and get involved, the faster that will happen. And if it's more people quickly, it'll happen much faster. If it takes longer, it takes longer. So it's up to everybody. It's up to us. It's up to all of us to do this for humanity, build this for humanity. It's not right. We need more contributors. I will eventually do it myself if I have to do it myself. Eventually I'll get funded with my AOE startup and take my winnings from that and fund this myself with my own money. If I have to, then I will. But I would love to work with others. I really love the venture capital industry, the idea of this, the spirit of this. I really believe in it. Investing in sound businesses and helping to, invest in great people, building great things that can really help the world and change the world and create, business. I've been in business my whole life, small businesses, self-employed my whole life. So this is my 7th business now, AOE is. I didn't build the Silicon Valley model where you build and you exit for millions of dollars. I didn't do it that way. I did it like the other 99% of people do. You build and then you move on to something else and you build that and succeed at that and then you move on to something else. I did it that way. So this is my first time trying to raising for AOE. And most people never do it in their entire life. And most of those who do fail, almost everybody. I've already gotten funded once. I will get funded again. We didn't get all of the money from the funding. We only got a piece of the deposit. We signed a $6 million pre-seed deal. That fell through because it was not a real VC. It was just some crypto scammers. They gave us some of the deposit, but we did get funded something. We built a hell of a lot on it. We almost finished our commercialization of our world number one in history, energy tech, which and that was years ago. We would let humanity be living in a different epoch right now had we gotten funded that 6 million. So, but we're still here. We're still fighting while all of these criminals, liars, and scammers have frauded trillions of dollars across the world, tens of trillions of dollars, hundreds of trillions of dollars in the last decade. $150 trillion in the last decade has been stolen by these Silicon Valley coders and their cyber criminals and financial crimesters. $150 trillion has been stolen by them. So the world deserves something better. So let's fund some Christians. Let's fund some Christian founders with the most impeccable ethics in the world and achieve a really great fund performance, top decile, top 10% fund performance. We will definitely do. And the last thing I'll mention, I will also back all of the investors' money. I plan to back all the investors' money with shares of my Alpha Omega Energy startup as an additional guarantee because it's the right thing to do. In the VC industry, they don't ever protect the investor money. I don't understand this. When you go to build a house, the bank requires 100% collateral security, right? They don't let you build the house and just they're on the hook for everything. Whether you fail at the construction or not, they don't do that. They take they put a lien on the house for 100% of what you borrow. I actually believe that that's what the standard should be in the startup industry. I believe that the investor should get 100% equity in the beginning when they fund. It should not be like that forever. They shouldn't have total control, but they should have 100% collateral coverage, and they should have first in, first out, which means if there's any sale, any money coming out of there above a reasonable salary for the staff, the founders and the staff, if there's any other money coming out of it, their capital should be returned. It should be the first money that comes out of it, period. For this not to happen, I don't understand this. It doesn't make sense. And that's another place where VC lose big money. And they can change this, but they don't want to. They don't have any interest in having, they claim to love innovation, but they don't want any innovation in their model. Right? So please reach out to me and join this mission that I'm starting, and I'll continue operating on. I plan to eventually do this, build a VC fund, because it needs to be done, and I believe in it. I believe in sponsoring and fostering and facilitating other good people. It was a very, very difficult journey I've come through, and so few people helping these kinds of founders. And so there needs to be more. And if I'm not going to do it, who's going to do it? It's certainly not going to be anybody older than me. It's not going to be the boomers. It's not going to be anybody else. So if it's not going to be me, who's it going to be? It's not going to be the me millennials or the Zoomers or these kind of, it's not going to be these people. So I have to do it. My hand has been forced, and I hope that everybody seeing this will support in some fashion and refer people as well. Thank you very much for your time. I appreciate it. God bless you all. Thank you to Sam Cheney for allowing me to use his platform like this. I greatly appreciate it. We're going to keep on charging. Never going to quit. Someone said to me recently, they will never let your technology and invention see the light of day, this guy said. I tell you now, sir, guess again. Thank you.